Happy Monday, everybody. Judy Maggio, and welcome to Decibel Dialogue. Today we're going to be talking about Texas 4000, and we've invited Scott Cruz, who's Executive Director, and Nevin Lewis, who is one of the writers. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Welcome home.
Yes, nice to be back in the heat.
So Scott, I want to start with you and just talk a little bit about what Texas 4000 is and what your mission is.
Well, Texas 4000 cultivates student leaders and engages communities in the fight against cancer. It's our 16th year with Nevin's Ride this summer, and we've been doing this to really get people across North America engaged in the fight against cancer. And so the riders meet with them as they travel the 70 days during the summer ride across 3 different routes.
So along the way, do they educate people on the various forms of cancer? What kinds of messages do you deliver along the way?
And so, yeah, we do some educational programs along the way. So we stopped in a Indian reservation in New Mexico, and so we present kind of information, just basic information on preventative measures and just things that they can do immediately to help prevent cancer in the future. So wearing sunscreen, avoiding sunlight as best as they can, doctor screenings, and kind of what their options are. And so for some of these less educated communities, this type of information is like for the first time they've heard it, and so it's really can be beneficial.
So you're going to be a senior at UT.
Yes, ma'am.
And eventually you want to go to medical school.
That's the plan, yes.
So how do you think this, for taking part in this ride for the summer, how has it kind of changed your perspective on life?
Oh, man.
Or did it?
I think it did. I kind of restored a belief in like the general goodness around. I mean, it's kind of easy to get bogged down, and I think along the way I was able to see so much constant generosity from strangers and friends alike, and it reminds you, why you're doing this, the impact you can have on people's lives, and how it affects others in such a positive way. And so being able to see that so constantly for over 2 months was really kind of reassured why I was going into the medical field to do good, and how the long journey ahead will something I'll continue.
How do you choose which students will take part in this ride?
So we actually have a great process that involves all of our alumni. The riders who've done this already are involved in the review of applications. So we get over 300 applicants a year from the University of Texas. They're all students here. And then those applications are, from those we select people to interview in person, and then whittle that down to about 80 to 90 riders that actually get in for that ride year.
And I'm assuming that a lot of the students that apply not only like cycling, but have a direct interest in some, why did you decide to ride?
Well, I think I wanted to be able to have a tangible impact on other people's lives in this moment. Because going into the medical field, everything's very distant, and we have medical school and residency, so your impact is kind of delayed. And when I heard about this, I was like, oh, I can do something right now that I think would do good. And so the immediacy of that was really something that attracted to me. And then we all have our stories of why we ride. Like I ride for my mother, and a childhood best friend's mother had breast cancer. And so when you're able to kind of show them that you support them in a way that you couldn't maybe in the moment when they were suffering, it's just really nice to say, I'm here with you, and I'm going to do something now to show that I care and I was there for you.
So what's the charitable component of all this? Is there money raised, and where does the money go, and those kinds of things?
So the riders raise funds. They have to raise at least $4,500 to be part of the Texas 4000 team. On average, they raise $7,000 to $8,000 a rider, which is pretty amazing. Nevin's team has raised over $700,000 so far.
And how many people are on your team?
And there's 83 in the collective, yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And during their summer ride, they presented the grant checks from the previous year. So when the ride ends, members of that team are selected to be part of our grants committee, and then they help select across the 3 routes and also here in Central Texas, where we award grants for cancer research and support services. And so they presented over $300,000 worth of grants this summer, and now their team will get to select the organizations that will benefit from their ride.
And so this year, what were some of the organizations that benefited?
So we had MD Anderson, Dell Med School, Texas Children's in the Central Texas region. In Alaska, we gave to Anchorage Young Cancer Coalition, which is for people who have battled their cancer and made it through, and it's a survivorship program, and so we funded their annual retreat. And so they've given all across the country on the 3 routes, because we really want to spread that hope in communities that we're in and show the support locally.
Mm-hmm. So there are 3 routes, and where do they go?
And so they have the Ozarks ones that heads east through Louisiana and that cuts up through the Midwest, which is kind of the Cancer Belt area, and then hits Canada. Then the Rockies heads up through Kansas through Rockies and Colorado, and then they head up Canada more centrally. And then the route I was a part of that I know most about is Sierra. We headed west through New Mexico, Arizona, then we hit California, about centrally, and then went up the California coast through Oregon and Washington, hit Canada around Vancouver.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was like unbelievable. It was truly beautiful. So.
I'm assuming that one of the things that you learn along the way isn't just educating people about cancer, but also there's probably a tight-knit aspect of it, that there's a camaraderie, and you probably make some lifelong friends along the way.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of incredible. It happens quite naturally over when you spend so long together. I mean, every day, then you're on the bike, you're sleeping with each other, like all in the same place, and so you just cultivate such incredible relations that can't be mimicked, I think, by any other aspect of life, just because, I mean, the concentrated tightness is just magnified along this ride. And so, yeah, I've made some incredible amount of lifelong friends that I will cherish for a while.
How does this, from your perspective, impact these students' lives? And I'm sure that people have come back year after year and said, oh, I'm so glad I did this because X, Y, Z.
Well, I think what we want to do is we're trying to cultivate student leaders, and we want them to grow within our organization and then go out and really change the world. And whether that is continuing the fight against cancer, as some who will go into med school will do, or if that's going into their own community and becoming a community leader, having their own family and being a leader in their community in that way, we really want them to grow up and be leaders.
So Texas 4000, do you know next year will the ride be similar, or do you pick your route that far in advance?
So the exciting thing is the next team, the 2020 team, is actually, since we're an 18-month program, already chosen. They were picked this last October, and we will actually this fall be picking the 2021 team. So each year the riders get to work on the routes. They don't get to change more than 25% of each route because we want to keep some continuity to the bigger locations that we go through and build those relationships long term for the organization, but we allow a little bit of change to meet family members or friends who might be willing to host the riders along their journey.
Wonderful. Well, if people want to find out more about Texas 4000 and maybe apply for a future year or donate, where do they find that information?
So they should go to texas4000.org. That's TEXAS4000.org.
Okay, very good. Anything else that we haven't covered that you want people to know about the ride and the mission?
I mean, it's so hard to encapsulate in, the entire summer. I think just anything that people can do or give to help. I think they don't realize is like people give, like we panhandle to fundraise and to give small amounts. The smallest things, or even words of encouragement along the way, go so far for us. I mean, you're on the road, and sometimes people get upset they're cyclists, so they're just a smile, a wave, a thumbs up. I mean, just if you see it takes 4000 jersey with a happy face, it makes a big difference for us. I think it goes a long way. We appreciate it more than I think people would imagine.
All right. Well, we're so glad you're back, safe and sound,
yes,
and I'm glad that it was such a success. I'm sure it will be in the future as well. Scott Cruz and Nevin Lewis with Texas 4000. Thanks so much for giving us a little bit of your day, and make it a good one.